Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the new movie Tron Ares. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. That way at no point in the future will I ever be sucked into the grid. This movie is directed by Joachim Rüning, whose most notable films are Young Woman and the Sea, Maleficent Mistress of Evil, and Pirates of the Caribbean 3. Now I know Tron Legacy was not everyone's favorite movie. I happen to really like it. And so I was really excited to see Tron Ares. But instead of talking about the 6 things that make a movie great, I'm just going to share my spoiler-free thoughts on the film. We've waited a long time for this movie, so it better be good, right? Well, we come into Tron Ares as Sam Flynn has voluntarily stepped down from the company, which basically means that they couldn't get Garrett Hedlund to sign on to this project. And so now there's a power struggle between a couple different people to try to gain power over AI and the grid. And these two factions are trying to search for what's called the Permanence Code. The Permanence Code is a line of digital coding that would allow something from the grid to survive in the real world. And so this movie focuses on that power struggle specifically between the characters of Eve Kim and Julian Dillinger. Dillinger's head of security in his grid is called Ares, but Ares somehow develops a character of his own and decides he doesn't want to obey commands anymore, and things spiral a little bit from there. For one, the acting in this movie was atrocious, but not as atrocious as the script. Oh my gosh. There are a handful of moments in this movie where it could have clearly explained what was happening to the audience in a way that would make things more interesting and captivate the audience. But instead, they decide to put a bunch of fast-paced psychobabble in these moments to try to explain something and then say that's why it works and then jump into a next moment so that you don't have time to question that. And it was so irritating because the things that are going on are very interesting. This universe is so interesting, but they don't give you time to ponder it. There are also certain dynamics both in the grid and outside of the grid that don't make sense with what is going on. For example, Ares questioning his being and understanding more than he ought to is called faulty programming and is picked up on immediately. However, the second in command in the grid named Athena clearly has feelings of jealousy and animosity towards Ares, but that is never flagged in the system and never talked about. There's also moments near the end of the movie that really hinge on the fact that things from the grid can only exist in the world for only 29 minutes, but in the movie they last for well over that time so that the plot can plot. And the way the plot progressed was extremely messy and convoluted. In addition to that, one of the focuses of this movie is the character of Ares and how he's struggling from being code to trying to be human. But there are straight up moments where he is talking like a robot in one sentence, and then the next sentence he's like, oh, that's chill. I really like this 80s dance song. And it was absolutely jarring to see the difference from sentence to sentence to sentence because the volatility of that was just insane. And that really felt like the dichotomy of this movie. There were moments that were really cool. Some of the visuals were great. Some of the ideas that they had were awesome. And then on the other side, some of the visuals were absolutely B-rated and horrible. And a lot of the plot was convoluted and bad. And the acting and script were bad. And so you just were stuck right in the middle of this movie that couldn't figure out what it wanted to do. And if the movie had at least developed its characters more, you'd at least care about what was going on. But you didn't. And they tried to force this weird love relationship between Eve and Ares that felt so unnatural it was insane. And by the end of the movie, you just find yourself being tired and disappointed. And what's most frustrating of all is that they hint at a sequel at the end of this movie, but what they hint at would have been such a better and more interesting movie if they would have combined it with this one than anything that they were trying to do with just this movie. Now, this movie is rated PG-13. It's just under 2 hours long. There's a mild bit of profanity and a handful of moments of action and violence, but otherwise this movie's pretty tame. But there was an overwhelming amount of disappointment in the movie. And because of that, I have to give Tron Ares a 5 out of 10. To be honest, I don't know if this movie deserves that score. It could be a little worse. But there's so many interesting things about this universe that could have worked. They just couldn't deliver on any of them. So with all that in mind, I don't think that Tron Ares is worth going to see in movie theaters and spending $20 on. I can almost guarantee you it'll be on Disney Plus before the end of the year, and you can watch it and decide what you think then. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Tron Ares, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.